Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Here's our top story for the day. The Supreme Court today expressed its dissatisfaction at the affidavit filed by the Delhi police on the speeches made at Hindu Yuva Vahini events. Now, the Delhi police has said that hate speeches did not amount to hate and that the gathering was made of people motivated to, and I quote, save the ethics of their community, end quote. Now, the court, in fact, to this remarked, and I quote, the affidavit has been filed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police. We hope he has understood the nuances. Has he merely reproduced the inquiry report or applied his mind? Is it your stand as well, or the reproduction of an inquiry report of sub-inspector level officer, end quote. Now, the police affidavit came in response to a petition filed by retired High Court Judge Anjana Prakash and journalist Qurban Ali, who described speeches made at events held both in Delhi and in Haridwar as an open call for genocide of Muslims in order to achieve ethnic cleansing. Now, the court has granted 2 weeks' time to the ASG to seek instructions and file a better affidavit by the 4th of May. Meanwhile, the Delhi High Court today observed that one of the speeches made by Umar Khalid in Amravati during the anti-CA and RC protests was, and I quote, obnoxious, insightful, and unacceptable, end quote. Now, the court was hearing the appeal against the dismissal of his bail plea by a lower court in the case. Now, Khalid was arrested on the 14th of September 2020 after clashes broke out between supporters of the Citizenship Amendment Act and those opposing the law in northeast Delhi between the 23rd of February and 26th of February that year. Now, he has been booked under the UAPA and has been in custody since then. The court has said that it does not plan to keep the bail plea pending for long and asked the police to file a short reply within 3 working days. The court has listed it for further hearing on the 27th of April. Moving on right now, petitioners of the hijab ban case, Alia Sadi and Resham, were not allowed to write their second PU examinations with hijab today. Now, the Education Department earlier in an order had said that the students appearing for the PU exam as well as teachers posted on exam duty cannot wear hijab or any attire of religious identity. Now, this order was upheld by the Karnataka High Court after 6 students from Udupi had approached the Karnataka High Court seeking permission to enter classrooms wearing hijab and had in fact asked the Education Department that they be permitted to appear for these examinations with hijab. The Karnataka High Court had upheld the ban and said that hijab is not an essential religious practice of Islam. In the meantime, amid the Azan versus Hanuman Chalisa controversy, Karnataka Chief Minister has said that everybody should follow the law. He said, and I quote, instructions have been issued for resolving the loudspeaker issue harmoniously through holding peace committee meetings at the police station level. The process is going on. Everyone should follow the law. There is a High Court order on Azan. A circular has already been issued in accordance with that. The rule also specifies the decibel level. The DG has already issued the circular, end quote. Meanwhile, there is Section 144 that's been imposed in Karnataka's Hubballi till the 23rd of April. This was after a stone pelting incident that took place on the 16th of April, during which 4 policemen, including 1 inspector, were injured. Now, the mob that had gathered near the police station limits suddenly turned violent and started pelting stones at the police station and police vehicles. The police has so far registered 12 cases in which 134 arrests have been made. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, the government has told the Madhya Pradesh High Court that the alleged encroachment made by an accused in the Khargone riots case shall not be removed without due legal procedure. Now, this comes at a time when the opposition has raised question marks over the BJP government's anti-encroachment drive in Khargone. Now, the communal clashes had broken out in the city on the 10th of April during a Ram Navami procession, leading to arson and stone pelting. Now, members of the Muslim community alleged that they were unfairly targeted and their houses were demolished, in some cases without due process. In the meantime, 5 people have been arrested in connection with the murder of a man in these clashes. Moving on to COVID roundup right now, starting off with Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu follows the latest list of states which have now made masks mandatory yet again. A fine of 500 rupees will be imposed on violators. Now, earlier, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, 4 districts in Haryana bordering Delhi, including Delhi, had introduced the mask mandate again. Meanwhile, in Delhi, the government has released COVID SOPs for schools. They have asked schools to conduct daily symptoms check, quarantine rooms, thermal scan and hand sanitization, among other protocols. And this comes amid rising COVID cases in Delhi. Delhi government has also announced free booster shots for people between the ages of 18 to 59. It will be available in government CVCs from the 21st of April, and this comes amid rising cases. Delhi has logged 965 fresh COVID cases in a period of 24 hours on Thursday, a positivity rate of 4.71%, while 1 person has died because of the infection. Meanwhile, in Chennai, 18 more students have tested positive for COVID at IIT Madras, and now the total tally is 30. Now, following this, Health Secretary J. Radhakrishnan has said that a 500 rupee fine will be imposed on those who don't wear masks in public. Also in the news, while speaking at India Economic Conclave organized by Times Network, Serum Institute of India CEO Adar Poonawalla has said that they've halted the production of vaccine as the stockpile has grown to 200 million doses. Now, Mr. Poonawalla has expressed concerns about the vaccine getting expired. He said, and I quote, "I have even offered to give free donations to whoever wanted to take it." End quote. He also made a comment on booster doses. He said, and I quote, "My point is that we can't put a price tag on the life of a person, be it an adult or a child. So taking decisions on time, as we did during the second wave, is the need of the hour when it comes to booster doses and jabbing the kids. The momentum of the past that had brought us so far here is lost. As you said, it seems for them it's business as usual." End quote. On to politics right now, starting off with Punjab Congress leader Amarinder Singh Raja has taken charge as Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee President. He said after assuming charge, and I quote, "Congress is not a political outfit. Congress is a thought. Congress is an ideology, and thought and ideology can never cease to exist." End quote. Moving on to business news right now, the CBI has filed a charge sheet against former CEO and MD of NSE, Chitra Ramkrishna, and former NSE CEO Anand Subramanian in connection with its case related to the manipulation of stock market. Now, CBI had arrested both of them in connection with the case in February and March. The case was registered by the CBI in 2018, but action against Chitra Ramkrishna and Subramanian followed a report by the SEBI that indicted Ramakrishna for illegal appointment of Subramanian and for allegedly sharing confidential information related to the stock market with a Himalayan yogi. Now, she was NSE's MD and CEO from 2013 to 2016. Environment news right now, and this is extremely important. The parliamentary panel headed by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh has submitted a 254-page report on Thursday after reviewing the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2021. Now, the report has said that non-official members should be part of the State Wildlife Board Committee proposed to assess infrastructure projects in and around protected areas. The standing committee has also found that some species were excluded from various schedules of wildlife and plants that have been proposed by the Environment Ministry and has recommended a revision of listing of schedules to include these species as well. Now, the wildlife bill was introduced in Lok Sabha by the Environment Minister in December last year. However, soon after its introduction, several wildlife and legal experts criticized some of the clauses of the bill, citing several loopholes as well that could be exploited, and saying that they were in fact counterintuitive to the objectives of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Meanwhile, according to a survey by Maharashtra Mangrove Cell and ILA Foundation, there are 1,435 smooth-coated otters across all 10 rivers, creeks and irrigation tanks in Maharashtra's Ratnagiri district. Now, they are endangered species. Apart from this, the study has also found 245 crocodiles in the district. Now, this is the second census of the rarely studied mammal. The first one was conducted in 2017. Moving on to international news, Maldives' president has issued a decree banning anti-India protests, citing a threat to national security. Now, this comes amid the India Out campaign that has been roiling Maldives for months now. The decree, titled Stopping Campaigns That Incite Hatred Against Various Countries under Different Slogans, makes specific mention of the India Out protests as an organized campaign that aims to disrupt relations between the two countries and efforts to maintain peace and security in the region by inciting unrest. Meanwhile, in China, Shanghai has extended its COVID lockdown till the 26th of April. The city has been in strict lockdown for almost a month now. The total death toll in the current outbreak is 36. Moving on to Ukraine, right now it's day 58. The mayor of Mariupol has issued a new appeal today for full evacuation of the city. Now, on Thursday, Putin had ordered his troops to seal off the last group of fighters holed up in the steelworks in the southeast of the city. And according to Al Jazeera, Russia's defense ministry has said that it is ready at any moment to allow a ceasefire and a humanitarian corridor for civilians at Mariupol steel plant if Ukrainian soldiers were to raise white flags. In the meantime, Ukrainian police have identified 1,084 civilians killed by Russian forces outside Kyiv. Ukrainian president has told Russia its recent gains in the east of the country are only temporary. Now, Russian forces captured 42 villages in the eastern Donetsk region on Thursday. Now, he said, and I quote, "They can only delay the inevitable, the time when the invaders will have to leave our territory. In particular, Mariupol, a city that continues to resist Russia despite everything the occupiers say," end quote. The UK's Prime Minister has made a comment and indicated that there may be no swift end to the conflict in Ukraine because of the stiff resistance to Russia's invasion. Now, asked if he agreed with the defense intelligence assessments that fighting could drag on until the end of next year, he said, and I quote, "The sad thing is that is a realistic possibility," end quote. Now, Boris Johnson also said that Prime Minister Modi intervened several times with Russian President Vladimir Putin to ask him what on earth he thinks he's doing and where he thinks this is going. This comment came in while he's on a two-day visit to India at the moment. He also said that what Indians want is peace and the Russians out of Ukraine. One piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin. While we're talking about communal tensions across the country, there is one story that sets an example for communal harmony, and this comes in from Maharashtra's Nasik. A church in Nasik opened its gates for Muslims to offer namaz during Ramzan and also organized an iftar at the church. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.